Okay, so good evening, everyone. I can report at this point that, again, under Dr. Lehman's leadership, we've met 2 times and kind of fleshed out a lot of the details in case we do need to open over at the middle school. We've created documents to share with our staff in the eventuality that that happens. A lot of heads have come together to brainstorm any type of obstacles that might stand in our way, and we've come up with a contingency plan for everything we could think of. We're kind of excited at this point. I don't know if you know, but Mrs. Wynn and I both come out of the middle school environment. We know the building very well, and we'll be able to keep our 4th graders in the existing trailers. Dr. Higgins has been very welcoming and accommodating in terms of making sure that he can carve out the classroom space, at least on a temporary basis, for us to be over at the middle school. So we're feeling pretty comfortable and confident right now that if that's the route that we need to go, we've kind of got everything waiting in the wings, just waiting to implement if we should need to do so.
Yeah, one of the things.
Go ahead.
One of the things that Dr. Graziano and Ms. Wynn really thought was important is towards the end of the summer, if we need to go this route, was to get the staff and the students in for a quasi orientation, right, an on-site visit. So that's something that it's on the agenda. It will be as we get a little bit deeper into this, and it becomes, if it's a reality or it becomes even a more potential reality, then she and her team have already put the wheels in motion to get a quasi orientation. It'd be more like a parent information session, and then the kids could come and they would actually get a little bit of a tour of the building. So that's on the radar for us, that, it's something that would happen right before school started. Because again, with the delivery of the JCP&L part, we definitely have a shorter installation time that we were looking at than we were 2.5 months ago, right? It's much shorter now than it was. And that gives us a little bit more time to wait for this part to come in before we have to pull the trigger.
Dr. Lehman, really quick, I'm sure there are several questions, but this was just one that I don't want to say happy about, but glad to hear. If we end up needing to go this contingency route, how long are we looking at? I know you can't give an exact by any means, but an approximation of weeks, months that this would be in play for the students and teachers for Applegarth.
Yeah, and that's something Jerry and I kind of go back and forth. I don't know if you want to take it, Jerry.
Yeah, I don't feel comfortable giving out a date because we know that we have a ship date for the component at the end of August.
Mm-hmm.
If we tell you it's going to be 3-4 weeks after that, if that ship date doesn't happen, all those kind of things. And the other factor is when this electrical component comes in very simple layman's terms, we are going to be plugging the building into the new electric service. And at that time, you're under the assumption that the new equipment that was installed is all perfect and will turn on, et cetera. So there are potential for hiccups along the way here. We are in a good position that we have the trailer. That's one thing that you will see at the board meeting next week. Annually, we renew through the Department of Education the use of the trailers. It's a standard resolution. Since we are extending the lease on the trailers, we will do that, and you'll act on that resolution. So we have an open-ended window there. Best case scenario, it'll be a few weeks. Worst case scenario, several weeks. But I wouldn't want to put any time frame out there at this point.
And I love that you say that, because you have a way of avoiding trouble by just talking about it, Mr. Take. So I'm hopeful that we don't have to extend the leave. I think we are talking about end of October, but my question is to Mrs. Graziano and Dr. Lehman is that when is the final rollout date for Plan B? When do we finally say, all right, we're going to Plan B and we need to send the communication out? So when are we communicating to our staff? When are we communicating to the students? And I love the idea, because one of my questions was taking them to like a tour, and you kind of are already thinking about it. So that's great. But I would love to get an idea on the timeline as to how far are we waiting before we say, sorry, this is not gonna, it's not a reality. We definitely are starting in the middle school for 4th and 5th grade. So what is that timeline like?
So communication wise, we intend to send basically a hold the date for that evening orientation piece sooner than later. We're looking probably sending something out next week just to say, hey, progress is going on in the construction project, but if we do have this delay, please keep this date penciled in, just to save the date piece. And then from there, Mr. Tague and I talked earlier today, and we're continuing to put some pressure and ask this company that we're waiting for this part for. But we would be mid-August at the latest making this call. In terms of pulling the plug. Now, we have everything in place. Like I said, we have, the transportation piece set up and teacher schedules and room assignments and things like that. But again, the installation time on this is much shorter than it was. So we do have a little bit more time. So the drop dead time would be, in the middle of August. But we want to give parents definitely the heads up when pencil this date into your calendar. And that way, if we don't need it, that's fine. But it's not a last minute, come see us this evening of the week or something like that.
Dr. Lehman,
Real quick,
go ahead.
The staff, I know that they're prepared and they packed up more tightly before the end of the year. Would they need extra time to set up? If it's middle school, will we need to give them a day extra, or is it going to be the same setup time like every year for them?
You want to take this, Dawn, or you want me to take it?
I could speak to it, and then if
Sure.
if there's anything that I'm leaving out, just let me know.
Yep.
We are, as of right now, we are looking to have like a basic, basically a very basic transport of supplies from Applegarth to the middle school. As of right now, we're hoping for the shortened amount of time that we will be there. And we're telling them to take a minimalist approach, at least for the beginning. Dr. Lehman had the idea that maybe we could have like a particular decor, like maybe a Monroe banner that we might be able to place in each of the classrooms, which again, as we get closer to the end of July, I'll probably start moving some of these things into place. I didn't want to be too premature, but I think by the end of July is probably a good time to start thinking about getting this going. Everything else truly is in place. Like, we're ready with classes, assignments, changes in our schedule, transportation. That's all ready to go if and when we need to make that announcement to our parents. But in terms of them bringing a lot over, we are going to suggest that they keep it to a minimum for now. And then if there is more time needed, we'll figure it out. I mean, we have a variety of different days where maybe, we have shortened days in school that might be a good opportunity for them to get more things. But as of right now, we also don't want them coming into the building. We want to minimize, as of right now, they can't come in, but we want to minimize moving forward how much access they're going to be able to have. And we want to make sure, of course, that it's safe. Otherwise, we will take out the basics for them.
And we're bringing all the technology over. So they will have their full complement of technology. We can do all our assessments at the beginning of the school year if we need to. So they're going to have what they need to, get the ball rolling, just like all the other schools are getting the ball rolling.
So if I'm understanding this right, the aesthetics may be compromised, but the functionality of starting the year is not going to be compromised for the students and the teachers.
Yeah, instructionally, it will be just as if they were at Applegarth.
Okay, great. Thank you. Go ahead, Kate.
Sure. So I guess, and I forget, Dr. Graziano, if it was you just brought this up or if it was Dr. Lehman, but the transportation element, because I know that was a question that I had heard about. I know for I'm on Woodland Mill Lake side, the buses, the kids aren't together, but I believe for Oak Tree and Applegarth, they are. So I guess, can you just sort of shed a light without, having specific details on what that's going to look like? Are we going to need more buses? Is there going to be a change in the timing? Because Applegarth starts at a different time than the middle school does. I guess, how does that work?
So the buses we are going to be operating with the same number of buses. They will drop at Oak Tree as they always have done, and then they will bring the students over to the middle school. In terms of time compromise, there will be, there will be a little bit of time on either end. There has to be if we're going from Oak Tree over to the middle school, but we're going to try to keep it as streamlined and smooth as possible. We also just, we're going to be meeting with Donna Martyr, the Director of Transportation. We've spoken to her numerous times already, but that was, I think we put on the calendar for August 4th. Yes. And we are just going to make sure that we have all of our ducks in a row moving forward.
Okay. And then just along those lines for Falcon Care, is that I guess how is that going to work with, I don't know how many Applegarth students utilize Falcon Care, but how would that work for those students?
You want me to take it?
Oh, sorry, Dr. Lehman, go ahead.
So Falcon Care is going to run out of Oak Tree. So all students, whether you're Applegarth or Oak Tree, will be dropped off at Oak Tree, and then they will have a assigned bus. So those students will be escorted onto the bus, and they'll travel over to the middle school. End of the day, they'll get on a bus, they'll come back over, and they'll go to Falcon Care so they can be picked up and dropped off without the parents having to drive all the way to the middle school, especially if they're doing an Oak Tree drop off and then typically just drive across the street. This consolidates everything to that same location.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. And then I had two more questions, and then that should be good for me. One was regarding lunches, how that would work. And then the other one was, I guess, like specials, electives, however you want to call it. Like hopefully we're in a time where the weather should be nice for gym. It could be easy to go outside and things like that. But I wasn't sure schedule-wise how that would work, or like 0 periods for band and chorus or things like that. So those were the other questions that I was thinking about.
So can I take that, Dr. Lehman?
Yep, go for it.
Okay. So for lunches, it actually worked out pretty well for us that the middle school has a half an hour between their lunches there. We kind of snuck in to that in-between time, and keeping in mind that our students are very accustomed to eating in 23-minute blocks. That's what they do here. That's half of their lunch recess. So we're sliding in there during that interim time. At the beginning, we're thinking for the first couple of days, at least until the middle school students get in their groove, we may take our food back to the classroom to avoid any overlapping in that time. But as soon as the middle school students are able to go in and out on time, then that's when we're going to go in and take the cafeteria during that time.
Okay, well,
students
they have recess? Because I hadn't actually thought about that till you said they will still have recess. Okay, good.
They will still have recess, yes, and we were able to work it out schedule-wise. They will be going outside and will be utilizing open space at the middle school for them to have recess, where Mrs. Wynn and I are actually in the process of figuring out games and structured activities that the students could do so that they're at different stations during the recess time, since it will be, a more contained environment than what they're used to. But we have a plan for a variety of stations that they'll be able to participate in during their recess.